You guys ready? Part 2, Flesh and Blood Q&A with Legend Story Studios. Head person, James White. Recap, if you guys weren't around last time, what did we go over? About a week ago, we went over the reserve list. They don't plan a reserve list. They designed where cold foils are going to be that exclusive, hard-to-get thing for the first printing of all the sets. We went over the longevity of the game and how long they spent designing it. We went over pretty much I know there's another big thing we went over. The challenges, we went over, the first edition Unlimited. People were asking about the reprints. They plan on releasing the print runs on their website after a year or so goes by, so that's exciting. So let's jump in to part 2, everybody. All right, question 11. Pop it up on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Whew, okay. Many up-and-coming card games that aren't the big 3, by the way, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, all seem to last a few years and then pitter down. We've seen this time and time again. CFV, Force of Will, Kajudo, Dragon Ball, Naruto, etc., etc. Flesh and Blood seems to be a fantastic game, but so weren't all the other previously mentioned games. What does FAB plan to do to make it past the first few years and maintain popularity, or even make its place into the big 4? Interesting. All right, answer. CEO of the company says, we spent 7 years designing FAB to make sure it has the design space and game system robustness to stand the test of time. This is my life's work. I am not interested in something that lasts for 2 years then bust. I would have never launched FAB if I didn't absolutely believe this. There are multiple parts to achieving longevity. The first is to continue to produce an incredible product in play and collectability. Second, a lot of work has gone into the IP that sits around the game. We have many stories to tell and places to explore in the world of Wraith. Thirdly, once COVID is better under control, our organized play programs will come through. At the heart of our company are a bunch of folk who have lived and breathed OP throughout their lives. We have big plans. Stay tuned. Back to Rudy's face. See, that's really exciting, because I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, if the world was different, and with how the GPs and Magic Fest were really struggling in 2019, they had a big decline in attendance compared to 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015. I was like, what if Flesh and Blood had these massive Orlando, Florida, or Las Vegas events, and that we made every vendor could come free and charge $10 for a person to show up, bring all the YouTubers and create a massive event similar to Magic, but get every single Flesh and Blood vendor and store to show up. Because again, charge the players an entrance fee. You guys know what I'm talking about. And of course, let the vendors vend for free so they don't have to big money and just make a huge thing. Can you imagine that? Oh my God, that'd be crazy. Also, it's interesting that they're talking about the IP, which is intellectual property. How many worlds and actually people and stories around the game they've developed. That's pretty exciting. I really like that, because I'd be really curious to see a lot of different class types. I'd like to see all kinds of different style artwork and worlds to visit, combos and unique gear and set pieces. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right, let's go to number 12. Everybody ready? Here goes my face. All right. I know little of your game, and most of my exposure to it is just by the mentions that Rudy makes in the YouTube world. I've been playing Magic for 25 years, and it's pretty much the only TCG. Why on earth should I give your game a chance, and what makes you think it may still be around in 2 years? Similar question. Answer, same as above. Back to Rudy's face. So I love it. Again, this was the other most upvoted comment, and I think what's interesting, the reason I kind of left both these questions in is, first of all, they were the most asked for. Also, I wanted to reemphasize on Rudy's opinion here that it really shows that a lot of people, I don't really see anybody complaining about they don't like the game, but overall, I see just genuine concern across the board of Flesh and Blood failing like every other game. The closest we had to a major big 4 out of the first 3, actually having a fourth major TCG, was Force of Will before they got greedy and screwed up the system, and then it collapsed, and now it leveled out. Different companies running it. But it never really rebounded to that peak. I mean, it's alive, and they're still making product, and it sells, but it's nowhere near the levels that it should have been at. And you can see the skepticism from everybody. I can feel that myself. But again, it's really up to the company who manages it, the product's uniqueness, the balance of the game, and pretty much not becoming a greed monster like WotC. All right. Yeah, I know, right? Question 13. All right. Sorry, here goes my face. Will there be a separate type of playable character instead of a hero, like a villain or maybe a god? And the playstyle there might be different, like the god doesn't have a weapon, only works off attributes, and you pay with pitch. Or a villain being an evil person of the same heroes we have with specific villain cards that might be a detriment to the villain, as well as a great tool, or just cards that play vastly different from heroes. The answer, there's a lot of cool things we have planned. You'll be surprised and delighted. So back to Rudy's opinion. That I agree. I think if, as time goes on, kind of like how Diablo has different classes, and they've even added classes over the years, like the Necromancer to Diablo 3. Didn't they add Necromancer? They never do that. I thought they did in the expansion later on. Yeah, if Flesh and Blood, instead of just having like a couple heroes, or like, you know, like the Brute or some sort of like Ogre class or some sort of Warrior or Wizard or Archer type thing, if they could go to like some sort of weird villain, or, man, the possibilities really are endless. Think about it. Because you could have villain that operates on a different type, like when you pitch and get resources, instead of having regular like hand-to-hand combat, or you could have all these weird, like, I hate to say, almost like evil, like draining, like kind of like a drain life type, dredge type things on other cards. There's a lot of things you could do. It's all about the creativity of the game and how they want to take it, whatever direction they want to go. It's very interesting. I have a feeling they're going to go in a lot of weird directions that we have no idea. They're very quiet about that kind of thing. All right, next question here. Number 14. You ready? Boop. So far, your product release timeline has been slower. Something I actually prefer to the quarterly or faster releases from games like Pokemon and Magic. Do you plan to maintain the release schedule, a slower release schedule, or pick up the pace as the game grows in popularity? The company's answer. The target is 3 booster sets per year, a 4-month cycle per set. We want fans to have time to explore and enjoy each new set. As a company, we also want to have enough time to enjoy the process of creation. We do this business because we love it, not because some overlord is telling us we have to hit deadlines. Well said. So, I apologize, I can't pronounce this, but I know the Nintendo designer, Shigeru Miyamoto? Did I pronounce that right, everybody? Acclaimed Nintendo designer of, obviously, Mario, Zelda. I like this. Once said, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. That's awesome. We don't want to be delaying products once a release date has been announced, but we certainly share the sentiment that it's better to take the time required to produce products that meet the standards we hold to ourselves and that our fans will come to expect of us. All right, back to Rudy. My opinion, that's fantastic news. For the longest time, Wizards of the Coast did the same thing. Wizards stayed with like one release every 3 to 4 months. This was normal through the 90s and early 2000s. Like if you look at the release schedule of like from 2000 to like 2008 on Magic, it was a couple sets a year. We didn't have every 30 days tons of new products. That is the acceleration of the release schedule and changes. These are all side effects of what's going on in 2020. It started to pick up the pace in 2019. 2020 is just, it's never been this way in the history of Magic. And again, I think, I do agree with the Legend Story Studios and James here. I genuinely believe that without cramming too much product and trying to generate too much sales, you cannibalize your own product. You make it less unique. You dilute the feel and brand of it. So that's very nice to hear, that they want the game to, people have time to explore each set. Magic used to be that way. All right, number 15, everybody. With the upcoming release of unlimited printing, what do you expect the print run to be? And will there be a cap, or is it just going to print to order? Will you tell the public each time you order additional print runs, or when you are cutting off an unlimited printing? Interesting question. Answer. When unlimited editions go out of print, they will be marked as out of print in the Collector's Center on the FAB TCG website. At some point after they are out of print, we may publish the print run size. All right, so back to me. That was a short, concise one. Simply put, I guess what I'm gathering here is as long as they feel the game needs regular base set kind of thing, they're going to keep doing unlimited as long as there's a market and distributors and stores are asking for it. Eventually, that will level out, because I can tell you as time goes on, if you keep reprinting anything, the demand for stores requesting additional product is going to drop off, because the product's is going to start sloshing around so much in the market. The uniqueness and the rarity of it's going to start to dilute, and there'll be enough cards going around where there's no value in the secondary market of the cards, blah, blah, blah. So that is kind of a fine line. You don't want to keep reprinting endlessly until this thing literally just goes to no value and every card's a penny, because then not a single store is going to open it, buy it, do anything with the product. I mean, I think that's a very sensitive thing to be careful of, because while it's unlimited printing, you can't just make it unlimited, technically unlimited, because you got to monitor it still, because, anytime you do that, because even right now in the market, no one's going to be buying, if, the cards that are in the unlimited base set non-cold foil, that just the fact we all know this, those regular cards already have a ceiling to the price point at this point in time. There's not really going to be any real growth in that particular product. And for example, like unlimited Welcome to Wraith booster boxes and unlimited Arcane boxes, I don't know if those are out yet. I think they are. No? I don't know. Those prices on those products are going to be kind of flat. So for example, if a store goes on eBay and sees somebody selling unlimited Welcome to Wraith boxes for $75, eventually there's going to be a point where they're just going to slow down because everybody already has their position. It's a very touchy thing. On the surface, it sounds like a simple thing, but the underlying economics of it are very touchy. Because remember, stores are pretty much not going to crack unlimited boxes. Period. It just is what it is. Because it's going to be extraordinarily difficult for that store to sell cards in their display case in the secondary market and even break even. Even if the store is paying, I don't know, $55 a box, and they're trying to sell it online for $75, after shipping and fees, they're going to make, what, $4? And for them to crack it and be able to gross 100 and net 80 is going to be very difficult on an unlimited printing product. Just wanted to give that. So that we have to, it's up to the company how they manage it. It's a risky one, seriously. All right, so we only got a couple questions left, everybody. 16, ready? Here goes Rudy's face. Boop. Will there ever be any kind of special, more high-dollar products like MTG does with collector boxes? Great question. Answer from the company. It's likely we'll do different kinds of products over time. Personally, I don't like variants of the same product launching side by side. Draft boosters, collector boosters, set boosters. I like simplicity. Here's a booster display, and it's an incredible product for drafters, constructed, and collectors. Where there is definitely room for FAB range to grow is play out of the box products. We get a lot of requests for more pre-constructed items in box sets. Back to Rudy. Okay. I think Flesh and Blood, this is my opinion. I know James and the company's probably watching. In my opinion, I agree with that. I don't think a collector's box in any other variant of the same cards released next to it would be smart business, because you're going to cannibalize your own sales. The person who's going to say, should I buy this or that, is most people are not going to buy both. They're going to buy either or. They're not going to buy A and B. They'll pick A or B. But I do agree, in between those 4-month cycles, I think, for example, if you have a new product every 4 months, I think after the new product comes out, maybe 2 weeks or 30 or 40, in the middle of those 4-month cycles, I think it would be cool to release a little pre-constructed, or a little add-on, or a little specialty item, maybe a 10-card thing or a little 20-card thing, or a pre-built deck, kind of like a Commander deck series, or even a little, seriously, you want my opinion on something that would rock the world? I don't expect anyone to do this, but for the love of God, if Flesh and Blood could make a From the Vault type series, no joke, you don't have to pick reprints, but the packaging, make something that blows people's minds on packaging. Right now, the biggest weakness I hear from Flesh and Blood people who buy it is the booster boxes. Everybody's happy about the logo on the seal, but the boxes are still very thin and flimsy. So they're sensitive. If you drop it, shipping damage, they're very sensitive to damage. You got to be very careful with the products. But if Flesh and Blood could make a specialty thing and make it, you don't have to make fancy Secret Lair, Ultimate Edition, giant craziness. But seriously, you guys remember the Flesh and Blood had this flap magnetic package, and it had sometimes it had 10 cards or 15 or 20 cards, from the vault after the 20-year anniversary and all these things. An amazing, beautiful, heavy quality package that's almost like this reward to be displayed. It's just where you don't need to make 1,000 cards in it, but just even a 20, 30 card, or even a pre-constructed deck, or just something that's 5 cards, or in 5 cold foil cards of cards that have never been cold foiled before. You know what I mean? Like 5 common cards that have never been cold foiled. So you can get the common really cheap, but make this from the vault style, super crazy package where you open it, it has flesh and blood artwork and like thick, fancy packaging, and you open it and it has like the see-through of these cards, and have them like cold foil versions of cheap cards that are readily available. Dude, it have like a special artwork and cold foiling, and you can't get it anywhere else. Dude, oh my god. That crap would, because again, it won't impact the game, the cost of the decks or cards, the player base, because everybody can get those common cards or uncommons or rare or whatever, but have a special version. Because I don't think you can get any cold foils in commons on like most of the cards. You can't even get cold foil. So that would be, oh my god, that'd be amazing. And I don't even know if you need special art. Maybe just cold foil with like a special frame on it or something. Who knows? I don't know. I'll leave that to you guys. But oh my god, that'd be so amazing. I miss those high quality things, you know. All right, sorry, Rudy's opinion. I got wound up there. Question 17. Boop. The game seems very well structured to play as an online CCG, like Hearthstone, Legends of Runeterra, MTG Arena. Is this in the future for Legend Story Studios? I highly recommend it. All right, their opinion. Legend Story Studios says, my personal opinion, and the mission of the company is to bring people together in the flesh and blood through the common language of playing great games. The place it primarily happens is LGSs. Whatever we do has to align and support this mission. Whoa, back to Rudy. Essentially, it sounds like they're open to a digital version of Flesh and Blood, but overall, I get the vibe that they're really... He wants people to play real life stuff with other real life human beings. And the fact that the answer involves aligning to support other stores and distributors and the cards, I get it. Remember, folks, Magic the Gathering did not become successful because of MTGO or Arena. It helped Magic, but for the longest time, Magic essentially stood on its own. Still does, in my opinion. All right, question 18. We only got a couple left, everybody. Here we go. If Hasbro approaches you to buy out your company, would you sell it? Oh my god. Or any larger company or Chinese company. Whether it's Hasbro or any other company, they would have to do an exceptional job convincing me that the mission and values of Legend Story Studios would be upheld. The business is more than dollars to us. It's the life's work and legacy of myself and many of the team. Our focus is to keep making decisions that support the delivery of our core mission for decades to come. All right, so back to me. Essentially, that's the answer that I've given people, where in other words, no, they never built the company to sell it. But at the same time, you got to be honest. We're all human beings. Everybody has a price. If some rich billionaire contacted me and said, Rudy, I'm aware you have this ridiculous position in these Magic cards. I want to buy you out for even face value or face value plus 10% or face value minus 5% for X amount of millions. I mean, everybody has a price. And what I get on that question is, overall, they're not looking to do anything like that with Flesh and Blood or Legend Story Studios. But at the end of the day, if somebody offers some ridiculous 10, 20x, 50x, 100x valuation of the company, I mean, it happens a lot. I mean, there's a point where if it's so much money that's, more than the company's worth of something, I mean, you got to be realistic. We're all humans. All right, question 19. Only 2 left. Was the transition from alpha printing to unlimited printing planned in advance from the beginning? Ooh. Or was it in response to the demand surpassing expectations? Answer from the company. Always planned. Wow. 2 words. So the company of Legend Story Studios and James is essentially the alpha printing converting over to unlimited without the cold foils. Apparently this was planned from day one. We just didn't know about it. He didn't even tell me. He didn't tell anybody until pretty much everything unfolded and took off. Apparently this was all pre-engineered. So, whoa. Okay. Last question. All right, you ready? Does he or the team... do you guys play Path of Exile? And if so, is any of the gear design informed or influenced by it? What's the hardest endgame boss you've killed in Path of Exile? And would you ever consider doing a PvE versus alternate formats for Flesh and Blood? That's pretty funny. The answer here, folks. Chris Wilson, founder and managing director of Grinding Gear Games, is an old friend. Chris played many of the MTG tournaments I ran in the 2000s. We have played many, many games of Vintage together over 20 years. Chris also loves Flesh and Blood. Path of Exile is an incredible New Zealand success story. As a fellow Kiwi, that always cracks me up. I'm proud of what Chris and Grinding Gear Games has achieved. Some of the Legend Story Studio staff are PoE players, and some Grinding Gear Game staffs are FAB players, so there's a lot of crossover. We previewed a PvE prototype at the Calling, what's it called? At the Calling 10K, Auckland, back in February. It was very well received, big queue to play it. We'll probably do some fun stuff with PvE in the future. Back to me. Okay. Interesting. Overall, I think Rudy's opinion here, not what's on here. My opinion, I do think, Legend Story Studios, the employees, James, all these people, I mean, they're all known each other. They've all grown up playing Magic. Of course, in my opinion, I think the Diablos, Path of Exiles, I wouldn't be surprised, the EverQuest, the RuneScapes, the Baldur's Gate, Skyrims, I wouldn't be surprised if all these games have an influence and there are pieces gathered. Because, I mean, overall, from my experience on Flesh and Blood, and again, I'm no pro at the actual mechanics and gameplay, as like most of you out there, I'm still kind of learning the game and watching other people play and some of the combos and mechanics. And there's been things I've watched other people do that I was like, whoa, I never looked at that card like that. I didn't look at like, well, wait a minute, if I kind of hold back, I'll have more resources to defend. And the resource management in Flesh and Blood is unlike anything I've ever seen. It looks simple on the surface, but the more you play the game and the more you understand Flesh and Blood deeper and deeper, it's like an iceberg. Flesh and Blood is such a simple game on the surface. 2 people. You got life points. You pitch cards, get resources, you attack, you fling, you do combos. You have your hero, you got gear, you can pop off some gear, defend yourself, you can make combos, go again, boom bang. But it's try to get them to 0 as quick as possible. But it's the same thing like Magic. Magic's the same thing. That's a regular game of Magic. Each person's got 20 life points. All you do, take turns, drop a land, get mana, slap crap down, try to get them to 0. On the surface, all card games seem simple. I mean, look at poker. Look at all the variants of every card game out there. On the surface, it's simple. But the more deeper and deeper you get obsessed, you realize it's far from it. So, last question, everybody. Oh, no, bonus question here. Okay. Okay, well, I'll put it on the screen anyways. Bonus question. How is the company financed? Bank loans, venture capital, selling stock as the company looks to scale up production distribution. How is Flesh and Blood financed? Being more leverage or selling more stock? Are there going to be any control issues with the company and production distributions? Whoa, okay. Answer from Legend Story Studios. The company has no debt. We have a strong balance sheet. Capital is not a primary constraint to scaling up. We sold Ooh, okay, this is interesting. We sold 24% of the company through a personal share offer in 2019. The company has no venture capital. It is owned in its entirety by my friends, family, and close network, with the founders retaining 76% ownership and control of all key decision making. This business is about building something that stands the test of time, and everything, including the foundation of the company, is designed to achieve that outcome. Wow. So 24% of the company is owned by some family and friends and close networks, so they own 76% is still owned by and controlled by the company. They have no debt and no outside capital. Wow. That's about all I got, folks. That was really interesting. I think the biggest takeaways of everything, if you guys want my opinion, the things I like the most is the direction and the management and the pace of product. I'm extraordinarily interested, and I'm really hoping this game does well. I've been a part of this since the beginning. I took a chance with them. In 2019, when I first started talking about Flesh and Blood and helped sell the product, bring the name to the United States, I was, the more I learned about it, I really liked the game. I was impressed by it, the quality of it, the details of it, and that's why I kind of want to be a part of it. I know the public, and even now, a lot of the public makes fun of me, thumbs down these videos, and very few people are going to watch this far anyways. But overall, I don't know. I've been dealing with trading cards and Hour of Devastation and Magic cards my whole life, and Pokemon, and a million other TCGs. And I know this sounds cliche, but I genuinely think there's something here. I don't know if this is ever going to be Magic the Gathering level type of product, but I do want to be on record, because I want to see how this video ages in the future, that Flesh and Blood does have that it factor. It has that unique something about it. It's got something special for it. And I think we're past the point of proving concept and whether the product's going to be good, sell, and all that. We're at the point now where I think the future of Flesh and Blood is going to be completely dictated on how James and the Legend Story Studios and the employees run the company, and how they're able to plan and keep that release schedule of products, how they're able to play test so the game doesn't break and become OP or distorted, and also how they maintain some specialty products to really get people excited in between the set releases. These are really going to be the core components of really how the game stands the test of time. The problem that I've seen on most games, the reason they fail, is because they make one or two good sets, it takes off, but there's nothing lined up in the future. Or the game runs out of money, or the game doesn't have future sets in the works. These are all the things that I've run into over the years with other card games that cause them to fail. Flesh and Blood does not seem to be running into or concerned with these particular constraints, which is very fascinating. I can't remember the last time I saw something like this again was Force of Will. And I truly believe Force of Will would be the big four with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic. And Force of Will would be number 4. Or I'm sorry, they still would be number 4 if they didn't screw it up. They did that to themselves. Force of Will had no excuse to drop 80-90% and flatline where it is now. No excuse for it. They did it to themselves. Flesh and Blood right now, that's their biggest challenge. Number 2, the next biggest challenge of Flesh and Blood is going to be dealing with these unlimited edition products. In 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and a year from now, they need to be very cautious on not overdoing the unlimited print run. I know it's about the players getting the game out there, but if they dilute the crap out of it to the point, because there's going to be a point where the game grows, all stores and distributors order it, it runs out or whatever, they get more, they reprint a third or fourth time, they get it, it sells. There will be a point where it falls off. And that's if you do one more wave after that or anything, you can have severe damage. Because once any LGS carries a product, sells it, does great. And like what happened to me with Force of Will. And then I order another 200 boxes of Millennia Aegis from Force of Will 2015 or 2016. And all of a sudden, I don't know, that $20,000 from Force of Will in 2016 collapses to $2,000. Once stores get burned by 5, 10, 20 grand, they're out. You destroy the trust and credibility. And that's my concern, my number one. I hope this, I'm sure they'll understand what I'm talking about, because this is they eat, sleep, and breathe this stuff. But as someone who's done this my whole life, these are my main concerns, everybody. It's really not about whether Monarch in 2021 is going to be massive and successful. It will be. I really don't have concerns. But I want to see specialty, exciting things in between. I want to see management on the unlimited. Because we've already seen the first edition stuff. Everybody wants it. Crucible of War. No one's watched this late in the video anyway, so I'm about to cut it off. But Crucible of War boxes. Seriously. Like, literally, if I didn't have a little batch left coming right now to actually sell and actually do some more stuff with the patrons, hint, hint, in the next couple weeks, if I didn't have that coming, I'd be on eBay right now buying all the Crucible of War first edition boxes for $100 to $120 a box. Are you kidding me? Because that thing, when the unlimited printing comes, and that's out of print, that thing's gonna, I mean, Arcane Rising's $400 or $500. First, the original box is $900 plus. Crucible, you can still get for like $100. Are you kidding me? So, but the unlimited edition boxes are great for the players, but that scares the crap out of me, because they gotta be careful with that. If those stores take a hit and they collapse in price or anything happens, and suddenly they don't care about the map pricing or anything, because once they start losing money, they don't care anymore. They don't want to carry the product. They get angry. Store owners and distributors are really cold when it comes to that stuff. So, appreciate everything. Thank you, Flesh and Blood. Thank you, James, as always. That's my opinion. Those are my two main concerns. Future release, supply, and the unlimited. Making sure it doesn't just get annihilated where every card's worth a penny. And wish for the best and everything. Seriously. It's an amazing time. Great thing. So honored to be a part of it.